of the time with the people of Colorado. And Senator Udall, I don't think you've cut a thing since you've been to Washington.
Congressman, I'm certain 100% that your policies are wrong for Colorado, and the reason you keep throwing out all these other numbers is your policies are extreme. They're not going to move our state forward. It's just that simple.
Okay. Last rebuttal, Mr. Gardner. Do you have another rebuttal? This is the last
I'm
one.
ready for the next question.
All right. I hesitate to ask this given the last response, but anybody that has a television knows that one of the heated areas of dispute in this race has centered around issues like abortion, access to birth control, issue of parenthood, and so forth. Mr. Gardner, what's your position on these issues, and do you intend to support any legislation on these issues?
Well, thank you for the question, and I am pro-life. I have supported exceptions and voted for legislation with exceptions. But throughout this campaign, I have focused on those issues that people talk to me around the state of Colorado, about creating jobs and opportunity, about making sure that we are gaining North American energy independence. And when it comes to the very deceitful, cynical ads that Senator Udall has been running, let's just talk about what is happening, the real war on women around this country. Senator Udall promised everyone in this country that if they liked their health care plan, they could keep their health care plan. 340,000 Coloradans lost their health insurance plans, including thousands of women around this state that Senator Udall is saying that he's standing up for. Thousands of women in the state of Colorado lost the doctor that Senator Udall promised they could keep. Thousands of women are paying more for their health insurance because Senator Udall broke his promise that it would lower the cost of health insurance. And no one has suffered more in this economy than women around the state because of the failed economy that Mark Udall has endorsed hook, line, and sinker that this president has put forward. And when it comes to women's issues, the senator says that he is for equal pay. I would remind the senator that leadership requires example and ask him why he doesn't pay women in his office as much as he pays the men in his office.
Mr. Udall?
Congressman, we wouldn't be having this discussion during this campaign if you hadn't spent your entire political career trying to limit the reproductive freedoms of women in the state of Colorado. You still haven't given the people of Colorado a straight answer on where you stand on the Personhood Initiative, and I want to remind people that the Personhood Initiative would ban all abortions and ban most common forms of contraception. And Congressman Gardner just on 2 days ago said it would be outrageous to ban birth control, but that's exactly what you've proposed to do with the personhood campaign that you've waged. We, of course, are talking about a whole series of other issues in this campaign. Immigration reform, which you oppose. Moving forward and embracing the opportunities that new energy technologies present. Ensuring that our veterans are taken care of, ensuring that the country has an economic set of opportunities for all people through the minimum wage increase that I've proposed, and pay equity for women. And by the way, the reason that this comes up as an issue is because there's a Republican set of operatives in the country that have come up with a playbook to suggest that Democrats don't pay women the same as they pay men in their offices, and it's bunk, and you know it, and it's wrong. And the reason is that you oppose and have voted against the paycheck equity measure. I'd ask you to consider supporting a process and a way forward where women are paid the same as men for doing the same amount of work. So let's be careful here who you call deceitful and cynical, because your approach meets that measurement. And I want you to be clear with the people of Colorado where you stand on the Personhood Amendment. You have not come clean with the people of Colorado.
Senator Udall, you have run this entire campaign as a social issue warrior. One issue candidate, Senator Udall, because he can't talk about anything else. Because he can't talk about the economy, he can't talk about energy, he can't talk about health care. Turn on the TV and you'll see social issue warrior Udall fighting the culture wars because that's the only thing that he can talk about. I believe we ought to expand opportunity, allowing over-the-counter contraceptives to be sold without a prescription, fixing the bill that Senator Udall passed so that insurance companies can reimburse for that over-the-counter contraception. I believe that we ought to make sure that we are improving our economy for everyone, including women. You know, our labor participation rate is the lowest it's been in 36 years. And from the last reporting period to this reporting period, more women dropped out of the workforce because they can't find the kinds of jobs and they are kind of jobs that they are looking for. So you know what's extreme? What's extreme is voting for the president's policies 99% of the time when they're hurting this country. What's extreme is standing up against the Keystone Pipeline. What's extreme is not taking the opportunity to represent Colorado first. But that's what happens when somebody's been in Washington for too long.
Congressman, it sure takes brass. You're the social issues warrior. You've spent your entire political career trying to limit the rights of women in Colorado and around the nation. It's clear. And what you don't tell people about your cynical ploy when it comes to over-the-counter contraception is the Affordable Care Act now provides that women receive basic health care services and contraceptives as a part of their plan. It's a cynical ploy. What you would do is remove the coverage. You could, of course, get the pill over the counter, but it's going to be on your own dime, which would be an average of $600 a year. And Congressman, you know that women's services like IUDs, which are effective, but they're expensive, and you don't buy them over the counter. So what you're doing would be removing the coverage that women now have if your cynical ploy behind the over-the-counter contraceptive proposal were to become law. And by the way, the OBGYN community, the FDA, nobody is calling for this except you.
Okay, we're going to move on to our next question.
But I have actually, if I could have a rebuttal to that,
certainly.
thank you. You know, Senator Udall, the American College of OBGYNs has actually suggested that over-the-counter contraceptions become the policy of this country, and so I would yield the rest of my time to you and just ask you this question: do you oppose making contraceptions available over the counter?
Let me ask this question of you. The OBGYN community has made it clear that the way you propose to have access to over-the-counter coverage is the wrong way to proceed.
So you support it? So you do support it?
The wrong way to proceed, Congressman.
So how would you proceed?
It's the wrong way to proceed. I wouldn't proceed by removing the coverage that women now have so they're treated equally to men.
You would support over-the-counter contraception?
Okay.
You would support over-the-counter contraception then?
I answered your question.
No, you didn't.
I did.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to move forward.
Maybe we'll get a question next time.
We're going to move forward, but before we do, we asked you nicely to please not shout out. You're not debating these two gentlemen. They're debating each other. And so I would ask you to please keep your comments to yourself. You can hoop and holler and support and clap, but you're interrupting what they have to say, and you're embarrassing yourself. We're going to move on to our next question. And we'll ask this first to Mr. Udall. Now, the coin's flipped. Mr. Gardner has portrayed you as supporting President Obama nearly all of the time. How do you respond to that?
I appreciate the opportunity to respond again because I'm going to make this point. The reason Congressman Gardner keeps mentioning 99% is because he wants to draw attention away from his record. He was the 10th most partisan member of the House of Representatives. Tom Tancredo never got beyond 50. What does that mean, though? What's more important is to understand what that means. That means Congressman Gardner supported the Life at Conception Act, which would deny women their reproductive freedoms that they fought and we fought so hard to generate. It means that he's voted to turn Medicare into a voucher program. That's going to work great. That means every senior's out on the street negotiating with the insurance companies one-on-one. You know who's going to win that negotiation? It isn't going to be that senior. He's voted to cut Social Security by moving up the age requirements more quickly. And it's at one point a budget he voted for, a very conservative budget, would have directed the Social Security receipts into tax cuts for millionaires. Congressman Gardner I'm 100% sure that Coloradans don't stand with you when it comes to your proposals, given your 10th most conservative member of the Congress record that you've accumulated. On everything that we care about in this state, whether it's working towards marriage equality, comprehensive immigration reform, the governor's plan to bring us all together and ensure that we protect the jobs that the natural gas boom is generating, but we also protect our way of life and our economy. You've been missing in action. Congressman Gardner's just in sum trying to draw attention away from his record and attacking me with the 99%. Congressman, I want to remind you, you're on the ballot, I'm on the ballot. This is your record, which is extreme and would take us backwards, versus my record, which is progressive and would move us forward.
I think it's very important that we talk about the record of Senator Udall. Let's talk about the fact that even the President of the United States has said that his policies are going to be on the ballot November 4th. Senator Udall has disagreed with him 1% of the time, agreed with him 99% of the time, and who that has hurt the most are people in southern Colorado, people across this state and country who can't find work because President Obama and Mark Udall's regulation overreach, because their failed economies by increasing taxes, regulations, by voting for nominees, as Senator Udall did at the Department of Interior, a Department of Interior nominee that he voted for who said the greatest threat to the western United States was natural gas production. At a time when we need North American energy independence and security and the jobs that would come along with it, including the opportunity to create coal jobs right in our own backyard here in Pueblo, Senator Udall has decided that he will follow the failed policies of Barack Obama. Recent reports have shown that he is the most liberal senator running for re-election in this country. I believe we can do better, and that's why we have gone around the state talking about those ideas to make college affordable. Right here, CSU Pueblo, legislation that I have introduced would help make student loans affordable, giving people opportunities on education savings accounts, making sure we're allowing students to deduct more off of their interest so that they can help afford college for their families. But nothing is more important than recognizing that the median household income in Pueblo, Colorado is less than $30,000. The statewide average is just a little bit less than $60,000. And over the past several years under Mark Udall's leadership, the median household income in this state, not around the country, but in this state alone, has declined by over $4,000. The hours worked a week has declined because of the Affordable Care Act. People who are trying to make ends meet, people who are desperate to find good-paying jobs, can't do it because of Mark Udall's failure to lead and his acceptance of Barack Obama's failed policies.
Congressman, your leadership failures are wide and far. Let me just start with one. Why haven't you taken the steps to pass comprehensive immigration reform in the House of Representatives? It's time. Every leading business person in this state has said we need comprehensive immigration reform. You not only have not supported comprehensive immigration reform, you voted to deport dreamers, these young men and women who are our future. You voted to cut Pell Grants. You can talk about helping people with college affordability, but your actions belie your words. And when you talk about the Affordable Care Act, you voted 50 times to repeal it with no replacement concepts. You're going to send us back, you're going to put us back in a system where the insurance companies are in charge. And then last fall, a year ago, what did you do? You went back to Washington and voted to shut down the government in Colorado's greatest time of need. That's not how a senator represents the state of Colorado, I can tell you that.
I do support immigration reform, and I think it's important to note that there's a record here that, again, is being ignored, and that's Senator Udall's admission of his own record